Three, two, one. Hey everybody, I'm Alan with Cryptex. Today we are having a research conference going over Nucleus vision, ethos, and voice. All of these projects are pretty good, and remember that we are not financial advisors. We are just people who like crypto, and we like to do our fundamental analysis on the background of a lot of these projects. So, to begin, let's go over Nucleus vision. I really like this project personally because I think this is really going to change up how we do sales in the brick and mortar typical, in-store business model. We're seeing a lot of sales online these days, but we definitely can know from a lot of the business that malls are getting, and a lot of the business that your typical stores are getting. People still want to go into a lot of these stores and try out what they're buying before they actually get it, or unless it's like a coffee shop like Starbucks, or there's still a lot of stores around that people are actually going to and that people actually want to participate in being there in a very literal sense, in a very physical sense. Nucleus vision, to give you the main rundown, Nucleus vision is an IoT enabled customer identification ecosystem. Now on their front page here, they have a pretty good video as to explaining the actualities of how this is supposed to work and what this is supposed to actually do. But imagine going into a store and the customer service rep would automatically have your information, the type of things that you typically would buy at that specific store. So imagine going to let's think like a Walmart, and them knowing you really like buying fishing equipment, and the customer service representative can automatically walk up to you, know your name, what you typically buy, show you where the fishing equipment is, ask you questions about what exactly you're looking for, catered more so towards what you actually are typically purchasing in that specific space. They'll automatically have all of that information for you through this ion sensor technology that they've developed. And the great thing about Nucleus vision is that even though they had an ICO, they developed the product first. There's a lot of institutional money in this project. I mean, if you just look at it from the first page here, you can see that they've been backed by Tim Draper, Reliance Capital, and Indicige Partners, QuadGen. There's a lot of different people who are behind this project. The team too, just to briefly go over the team a little bit here, the team is really strong. This team is based out of San Francisco in India, but a lot of the people who are on the leadership side of things, a lot of these people have worked for a lot of established companies already. So the CEO, Mr. Pitti, he's worked for he went to Harvard Business School. He's a pretty smart guy. The CMO worked for Levi's. The head blockchain developer, he went to USC. And even the chief design officer, he went to Parsons, and he's spoken for TED a few times. I haven't seen any of his TED Talks, but I mostly am looking towards a lot of the people who are invested in this project, and Tim Draper, he's a pretty big name, especially in the Bitcoin world recently, in the cryptocurrency world recently, because he is someone who really is prolific about Bitcoin and it being digital gold. He also invested in Skype. The rest of the team, when it comes to the investors, a lot of these guys have worked for a lot of top companies in India, and just a lot of institutional money is being poured into this, and I think there's a good reason why. Let's get the white paper open here. Now the light paper goes over a lot of the important information, I wouldn't recommend just looking at the one pager, because that doesn't really give you too much information on how it's supposed to really work, or how, like, you know, what's the plans for this in the future. But what they're basically trying to do is give retail stores more information on you know, individuals who are commonly shopping there through IoT sensors in your cell phones. So your cell phone is going to be able to essentially give them the type of information that they would need to be able to sell a lot of users on things. So this is supposed to increase sales for a lot of industries. But the thing is, there's a lot that has to play with the end user as well. So there's going to be a lot of different capabilities that it's going to have to give every user more incentives to want to actually walk to stores and actually, you know, participate in being there, etc. Let's go over the white paper here. Now we're going to go over a lot of the main parts of this. This white paper is 67 pages long, but we're just going to go over the industry overview a little bit, and then I'm just going to go over the important pages. So the process, the use case, how it all works, the data sharing. So customers are going to be paid for sharing their data with companies, the merchant benefits, the patents, and the finances. The patents is not too important, but I think that it being a cryptocurrency definitely helps on this end, whereas, you know, bringing revenue to the company that was behind the technology if the patent doesn't go through. But if the patent does go through, then I think that this will definitely be a game changer for just the whole industry in general. And then a lot of the finances of how they plan to allocate a lot of their funds. So briefly, they go over here on the industry overview here about, you know, the global retail industry and how it's been growing year by year, even though it's not necessarily as exponential as it was in the past, because of, you know, one of the big changers one of the big disruptors in the market right now is sites like Amazon and Alibaba. If you go back and backtrack of how that's been changing things recently. But they still take up, to sum up a lot of this information here, it still takes up a lot of the business and how people are still buying things. People are still going to stores to buy things, but it's not as it's getting smaller and smaller as to what stores are actually successful, at least here in the US. Now, it doesn't necessarily go into detail too much about how it is in any other countries, but I know that here in the US, people are buying things online, but people are definitely still going to your average brick and mortar stores. They go over it a little bit here just to read off a little bit of the important information. While 90% of retail sales still take place in stores, the new digital age is still changing the retail landscape. Retail brands that haven't yet learned how to cater to the omni-channel customers have been shutting down unprofitable outlets in large numbers. So yeah, like I said, the stores that are actually getting a lot of businesses are the ones that are already established and selling well. So a lot of the money is moving to a smaller percentage, instead of like you seeing a whole bunch of different you know, smaller stores all over the place. You're just seeing a lot of big they call them like box stores. So like you know, your Walmarts, your Starbucks, your already established businesses doing well, instead of a lot of the in the past where you can see someone just start their own business and buy the land or lease the land and being able to flourish from that. It's the money is moving more so towards already established businesses. in hand. So the e-commerce industry, despite its glowing popularity, e-commerce represents only 5.8% of the entire retail market share. Small baskets, single channel customers options, ineffective delivery, and the inability to see, feel, or try products prior to purchasing it makes it a difficult business model. Smartphones are great for, then they go over the m-commerce industry. They're calling this the m-commerce industry. I haven't really heard it being like, I haven't heard this phrase before, believe it or not, but you know, maybe I'm out of the loop here, but this is basically just explaining people buying things on smartphones. Smartphones are great for shoppers to research items and engage, but sales remain very low. The m-commerce retail market share is also comparatively low at 42 billion, only approximately 1% of the total retail market share. Despite the rise of smartphones, only 85% of global transactions are still cash-based. Then they go over sales, of how this works here. To basically sum this up, people are walking into stores, and most of the time they're not buying anything. They're walking in there, and only about 15% of that, of people who are walking in, are actually ending up buying things or purchasing what they need. And what this is supposed to do is increase those sales by on both ends. So offering people more incentives, people who are participating in this NCASH system, more benefits to buying, and offering the merchants more information to selling that specific person. Let's go down to, now we're not going to go too much as to how this works. This already is a tried and true method. This was actually developed in 2013 at Harvard, but this was only recently implemented into about 10 stores. But I think one of the most important things to go over here is the privacy of everything, because I actually want to know your guys' opinion on how you would feel about the information that they have. But it being one of the most important things is that this is a pretty secure system as to keeping your information safe in theory. But when it comes to, you know, your stores having a lot of your information, when it comes to how much money you're typically making, so it's going to know if you fall in the lower income bracket, the medium to high income bracket, the high income bracket. It's going to know if you're going to fall into a lot of those different places. It's going to know how you're spending money. It's going to know a lot of information depending on how much purchases you're making with this NCASH system. And I'm really interested in knowing if this is something that you guys would actually participate in. So to give you a basic rundown, so you, the person, you would send a text message, or you can sign up for the app. There's two different ways you can actually join it, or there's a few other ways you can do it too that are supposed to be a lot of offline based ways. Like, this isn't something that you need to have. You don't need to have data for this, so you don't need to have an internet connection. You actually don't even need a cell phone connection either, technically. They basically build sensors that's supposed to sense what phone that you're using, and it's attaching a profile to that specific phone. So that specific phone sends it to the telecom service provider, and that sends it to this Nucleus Vision platform. So this is where your account is going to be created to, you know, start logging a lot of your data. But your data, your actual so your personal information is all through the blockchain, and that's all decentralized. So no one can get to your personal data. So you know exactly what purchases you are making, unless, you know, you give them that information. You give them that information yourself. A lot of that is wrapped up around, you know, the ecosystem in the blockchain. But, you know, your profile information, so what you're typically buying, what stores that you've you know actually bought from, where you're exactly going in that, and that's all through the profile that Nucleus actually holds on on a private base, and that's what they actually give to these merchants that's using your information. And now to go over privacy a little bit more, and we're going to get to this a little bit more too, but these merchants, they actually between each other, so everyone who's on the Nucleus platform on a merchant level, so if you, let's say like Walmart, Kmart, and a whole bunch of other stores like it, they are all going to share information with each other because they have to raise money somehow. And so technically they are selling your data as soon as you walk in, but in return for that, you, the person, are actually getting paid in NCASH, so this cryptocurrency, for having your data shared. So if you walk into a store, they're gonna give you maybe, let's say, 100 NCASH just for walking in, just as an incentive for being there. And when you go to a lot of other stores, they're gonna give you NCASH just for walking in, because they see, hey, you're a customer and you're interested in this. And then the NCASH platform, it actually sends the merchant information on you, your general information, not your personal information, as to what your interests are and what you're buying mostly, which technically is still your information, but they're going to actually purchase that information with the NCASH that they've allocated through sales, and you are going to get a portion of that just for being a person walking into the store, which offers you an incentive for being interested in a store that is NCASH capable. But it also gives them your end data, so they can increase sales by saying, hey, you're Steven, we know you like buying fishing equipment, let's show you where our fishing equipment is. So yeah, that basically goes over this content replication area, where it sends over to the Nucleus Vision server, and then it's able to send email and SMS to other private sales and deals that you can get in on. There's a lot of other information here, but I think one of the most important parts here is page 13. So this privacy framework here. One second. Any comments or questions before we go on at all? Any thoughts at all before we go on? I want to basically know if this is something that you guys would trust just on a personal basis. Like if this is something you would actually do, if it meant that you could earn, they're supposed to give you NCASH for, sharing your information between merchants, and they're also supposed to be able to give you NCASH for just making purchases at the store. So you might get like 15% off by using NCASH. It's an interesting system for sure so far, but I think I want to go over the privacy a little bit more, because this is something that I feel personally a little iffy about, just on the trusting side, if I trust them with my information. But it seems like a lot of the real information that is potentially damaging, that could be damaging, it's all done through the blockchain. So how they address this is, privacy is one of the biggest challenges for traditional data sharing platforms. Blockchain technology provides the best solution to these privacy challenges. Nucleus Vision harnesses three main features of blockchain to optimize the platform. These are security, trusted control, decentralized monetization. So security is a crucial aspect of the data exchange process. The simplest and most common form of security breach is the unauthorized access of data. Hashing the blockchain architecture provides inherent security and protects all identity and data protocol referenced in the system. I skipped a little bit there. Just going to go over what they're doing mainly to hold where your information is going to be at all times. So they have a little so if you guys are looking at the white paper here, I'm going to make sure you guys have that in chat. I'm going to send that over. If you guys want to take a look at page 17, it goes over a more visual way of how all of this is working and where your information is going to be. If you're a visual learner like I am, I love visuals. But to explain how this works step by step, customer walks into store. The customer's phone ID is recognized by the ion sensor. The ion sensor sends the customer's phone ID to Nucleus Vision, and then Nucleus Vision sends a text message to install the app, and it'll offer them NCASH. And then 5 would be if the customer opts in, NCASH will be credited to his or her account, and then Nucleus Vision securely transfers this customer identification to the retailer over blockchain, and then customers mapped with the retailer's core system through Nucleus Vision blockchain network, unearthing new data insights for the retailer. So we talked about that, giving them information that can potentially increase sales. If the retailer has no previous shopping history on this customer, the retailer system is automatically requests their data from Nucleus Vision's extended partner ecosystem, which is sent to other retailers and participants in the network. And then an incentive dominated in NCASH is provided for the network participants that share the information. Then the network partners predefined rules to share customer data amongst friendly, non-competing entities and share the requested customer data points if approved. And then if the network partner accepts the request, they further request the customer to authorize the data exchange through the blockchain before sharing intellectual data with the retailer. Network partners attach some NCASH as an incentive for the user shared data. And let's talk about this point a little bit more, because I think this is really important for privacy. So when they're going over, so we talked about how they're all participating in this Nucleus Vision share network, whereas retailers are sharing your information with other retailers. The user can opt into something like this. They don't necessarily have to give their information up. So something like this, for anyone who's like me that actually likes their privacy here, this definitely plays a big part as to getting me onto something like this, because one, it offers the incentive of actually using this, and if it's something that I feel okay with and I could, potentially save some money by using this NCASH system, I think I would go with this route personally. Now, not everyone might not feel the same. If you guys want to send some messages through text or something how you guys feel about it, or like let me know, you can always let me know. But this is something that ends up it really deals with the end user if they're willing to give that type of information. And I don't think that they're taking too much information here that any other company would be that any other company wouldn't take. So Google actually gives a lot of your information of just the websites that you're browsing, the things that you're looking at, just to show you better ads. This is basically AdWords, but for brick and mortar stores. So for your typical mom and pop shops, for your physical locations, this is basically that. It's an interesting system for sure. Then the customer receives a request, so we went over that, and then the customer authorizes the request and receives NCASH as an incentive for authorizing, and will receive a portion of NCASH transferred each time their data is exchanged on the Nucleus Vision retail network. The frequency of this authorization is controlled by all customers. If the customer authorizes the data sharing on the blockchain, enriches the respective parameter values to the retailer's smart Nucleus Vision intelligence system. Okay. And then one of the last important parts here is that the NCASH tokens act as a universal loyalty program where customers can use NCASH as a loyalty rewards points across any retail partners on the Nucleus Vision network. So yeah, it's definitely the tech behind this, and I won't go too far into how this works. They explain it a little bit more around the 20 to 30ish areas as to how this works, but these are just sensors built into a lot of just common phones and common devices. Like if you have a phone with maybe an ARM chip, Intel chip, this is compatible with most phones, if not most phones that people would have today. And this isn't something that necessarily needs, Wi-Fi or any kind of data connection, which is actually kind of scary because I didn't know that there was technology in our phones that could make us like trackable without, any kind of connection at all. But they're trying to utilize that by making a network of just information that both parties can profit from. I think one of the last important parts to go on about this, so I did talk about the patents a little bit. I think that when it comes to this technology here, while this is still patent pending, I think it is completely necessary that this is on the blockchain. So some people might ask, why do they need a cryptocurrency for this? I mean, for one, that's one of the main drivers of this project at hand. So it's supposed to be giving people incentive for uploading a lot of their information, and not only that, a lot of their information being on there helps the end user navigate around through stores and gives people gives these merchants more information on what they exactly want and why they're exactly there. And so if this patent actually goes through, then NCASH will be the only one that can actually use this type of technology, which would be a game changer, because if this becomes something that they can do more business development on, and this becomes something that people almost need in which to actually go to stores. So if you have people who would go to more stores just because of these capabilities, then it will become a standard, and then everyone will be on the NCASH platform. But, if the patent doesn't actually go through, then they would face, potential competition. But they're the first ones to actually, implement something like this. So I think that's a huge step, and they're definitely moving forward when it comes to this platform. This is already in about 10 stores right now through a beta program. So this is already a working product, but they're still waiting on a lot of the patents and a lot of things that they need to be able to push this even more forward. We went over the rewards program. We went over the data sharing. We went over this a little bit more. I think that's pretty much it, other than I do want to go to page 51 to go over. Oh, actually, you know what? There's actually two things I want to go over. So just to go over the merchant benefits one more time. This is going to provide, outside opportunity for a lot of them, storefront conversion. So they can say like, hey, this place is NCASH capable. So people who are on this platform, they can see like, hey, if I participate in this, I can earn a little bit of money, more of a bounce rate. So higher sales, new visitors, duration times are going to be a little bit, they're going to be a little bit better on that end. They're going to be able to know if you're walking by too. So they're going to have sensors on the front of the store to know if you're in a mall or something like that, if you're walking by GameStop is going to know. They're going to be able to send you a message or something saying like, hey, if you come in today, thinking about a video game, Final Fantasy is 15% off if you pay with NCASH or something like that. If that's your deal, more visitors, so engagement ratio would increase, and then repeat visitors because you would actually earn more NCASH by going to the store more often. And then I also want to go to page 48 here. So yeah, I'm passing through a lot of information here that you can definitely take a look at if you want to take a look at page 43 to about 40 to like the 50th area. This goes into how this is supposed to work at on a network scale, and it's supposed to go over like some more data as to it's going to know like, hey, school, like kids are going to be off from school during these hours, so maybe you can offer some kind of incentives on that end. So it's going to be able to it's going to be aggregating a lot of data here to increase sales for people. I do want to go over page 48 though. Okay. So just to go over the IoT sensors just a little bit here, this pretty much grabs a lot of the important information in one. Just the patent information. So the patents that they're trying to go for here is probably one of the most important. One of the most important, if not the most important aspects of this. So they're going for ION sensor to recognize customers in the moment a customer walks inside the store. ION sensors that sends customer ID to telecom. Telecom converts the customer ID into the mobile number. Machine learning algorithms maps the customer mobile number with recommended offers for customers, recommendations sent to the customer, and then customer redeems the recommended benefit. That kind of just like explains like what they're going for in general, so no one can make something exactly like this. A lot of you guys know how patents work. You're pretty smart dudes. And then let's talk about the token sale. So the token sale was back in February, I believe. February, I think, and they priced it at a minimum of 1 ETH, but I can't exactly find how much they were selling per token. I'm sure you could find out if you did the math here, but it doesn't actually explicitly say how much they were selling per token. Just it was a minimum investment of 0.1 ETH. So yeah, so the symbol is NCASH. They got a token supply of 10 billion. It's an ERC20, like a lot of the coins that we were talking about. But one of the most important things is that they know that there's a lot of network congestion on the ERC20 platform. So they've actually they're in the middle of entertaining the idea of possibly going to their own blockchain, which offers some people a little bit of incentive when it comes to if you want to get some airdrops or something like that. But they want to move on to they're thinking about moving on to their own blockchain at some point, but they don't exactly say. They just say they put it at a maybe somewhere on this white paper here. So 5% went to bounty and subcontractors, 5% advisors, 25% founding team and employees, 25% company reserve, 40% for public contributors. But this was a while ago, so a lot of this actually doesn't necessarily address how this is supposed to go on now, but they do explain the use of the proceeds as well. So while running a lean team, Nucleus Vision has set ambitious targets of its token sale. Thus, after the token sale, we will be expanding our team to increase marketing efforts and doubling down on product development to fulfill the ambitious goals that we've set for ourselves. So 6% legal team and cost, 4% regulatory compliance, 24% business development, 9% data science, 7% field ops, 9% general and administrative experience, 20% IoT infrastructure, 9% IoT technology development, 12% IT team. So they go over this a little bit more in depth about how they're going to be changing this over the years too. So they're planning on putting more and more money into business development. For someone like me, I think that this is really important because this is going to be the backbone of their business. This isn't just like a cryptocurrency. This is also a business, and and a big part is actually getting a lot of these merchants to use it, because if you can get the merchants to use it and you can get them to actually promote it to their customers will start using it, and then more people will be on the NCASH ecosystem. And they put out more plans as to how they're going to be allocating more money at some points and then less money at some points. So moving some money out, moving some of it, like regulatory compliance, is going to pretty much stay the same. They just go over a lot of how that's supposed to work. They go over the roadmap a little bit here, but right now they're just in the phase of, deploying their IoT sensors, like we talked about, the telecom partnerships, the neurons, in getting more users onto the platform. The milestones that they've reached, they've done quite a bit of things already, but they have a lot to go. So as we said before, they have a lot of business development that they have to do. They need to make a few more partnerships with some telecoms, but they're really marketing this, and it seems like they're really compliant with a lot of US law, and they're really trying to get this in the US first, but they plan on going to India next. This is, as you said before, this is a company that's based in San Francisco and India, so they plan on reaching India next, which is a huge market because there's a lot of people in India. And then they're planning on reaching a lot of Asian markets after that. There's a lot of different plans here that they have for implementing this within the next few years, but they definitely have a long way to go on the project and getting a lot of this to be implemented here. But I think this is definitely something that is going to, dare I say, change the world. As Bill Nye always says. This is definitely a project that's certainly interesting, but one of the main things that I want to know on the scale of is this project actually going to work, are you guys as people, is this something that you guys would actually use? If you guys want to give me your answers, you guys can message me that, and I can read them out loud. But this is something that I think that people are going to have to learn to trust. And if they can reach the people as to offering them enough incentive for that trust, then I think that this could definitely turn out to be a project that can be implemented in pretty much everywhere, and it might change just how we buy things for the future. For example, just to allude to a point that I alluded to yesterday during our AMA, I trust Google with my photos because they can save all of them, and I don't have to they can save all of my photos on the cloud, and I don't necessarily have to, in turn, be too worried that if I delete a photo by accident, or if I change phones or something like that, I don't have to be too worried about what's going on with my data, because the incentive is that I actually don't have to worry too much about if my photos are going to be missing or any of those things. So I think them offering enough financial upside here, so if people are actually going to be able to save a lot of money by using this Nucleus Vision ecosystem, this Nucleus Vision platform, then this is definitely something that's going to change the way we buy things in the future. And if you don't take my word for it, I mean, you can just take the word of a lot of the venture capitalists that are moving into this project. I don't have a position in this yet. I only just discovered NCASH pretty recently, but that's just the basic rundown of the project and how this is supposed to work. I think personally, I'm going to give this, on our research coin spreadsheet here, I think I'm personally, as a project, I'm going to give this a 90. And I know that's extremely high, I'm being very generous here, but this is definitely something that is going to be a game changer for sure. just from looking at how people bought things in the past, I think that this is going to be something that, you know, most people can use if it saves them money. Like, this is going to be the new coupon at hand. Let me just make sure I have the ticker and everything in here right. And now I'm not typically just typing this in. I can't spell for the life of me. Nucleus fission. Okay, there we go. Now, I'm not typically that nice when it comes to a lot of these projects. But as I said, this is going to be the new coupon. This is going to be the new gift card. People are going to be able to send like NCASH to each other, and people are going to be receiving NCASH. And this is supposed to work with all phones, even if it's not necessarily a smartphone. But most people have a smartphone to some capacity these days, even if it's cheaper or even if it's like a higher end model. This is just, and the fact that it's appealing to the mobile commerce, so the m-commerce industry, is really important. And this is why Telcoin actually received an extremely high grade as well, 90, because that's the industry that, you know, most people are already on and capable of using, and people can easily understand and navigate through their phones. People can actually, you know, they're tapping into the biggest market out there right now. There's more people with mobile phones than with computers. You know, I nailed this point in pretty hard last week when we were talking about Telcoin, but actually the week before last week when we were talking about Telcoin. But this is definitely something that is just an extremely, I can't believe that more people don't really know about it, but at the same time, I didn't really know about this until pretty recently. So that's why I think that this deserves a 90%. If you guys disagree, you can feel free to let me know. How's it going, Lucas from YouTube? How's it going, man? Welcome to the stream. Okay. So yeah, and then we also grade on the team and the advisors here. So I think for the grade, when it comes to on that front, if we just look at a lot of the investors who've invested in this project, Tim Draper, we went over it a little bit already. A lot of these guys, they're pouring a lot of money into this because they know that if these patents go through and NCASH is the only one that can actually utilize this technology, it's going to definitely be the world leader in this form of sales and creating more leads for sales. So yeah, I think that their CEO and founder, you can go to LinkedIn and see a little bit more of his information, but you know, he created this back in, and him and Brian, they created this back in 2013. This has been a tried and true method, and they've really polished the system. I think that for that, I think I'm willing to give this a 85 on that too, when it comes to a lot of the investments that's been poured into this. And then let's see what they've been doing on the business development front. So their audience, they've got a long way to go. They certainly have a long way to go, and that's why we're actually going to give this a lower score, because there's a lot of potential here. There's certainly a lot of potential here, but they definitely have a lot of different places they have to tap into. They got to make a few more relationships with some telecom companies. They've got to make a whole bunch of relationships with merchants. But if they can get a lot of these top level companies that that has a lot of subsidiaries, if they can get a lot of subsidiaries, so if they can get a lot of parent companies with a lot of companies underneath it, then, you know, whereas like if you bought, who am I thinking of, for example? you know, if you got like any kind of, if you got like Macy's, or if you got some kind of company that owns like just a whole bunch of other stores, they could it wouldn't necessarily be easy to implement this in all of their stores across the country, but it's those parent companies that they should be targeting. And you know, if I see more business development on that front, then I would certainly be willing to give them a higher grade for this. But I want to give them a 70 for now. 70 for now, and I'm very, very willing to change this later on. I just want to see more on this front. I want to see more. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up Nucleus Vision. No more to really go on here. Great tech, great project in hand. They just got listed on Binance, which did have a little bit, it gave it a little bit of a pump recently. If you were taking a look at the price action here, it looks like they, back at the ICO here, they were evaluated around, you know, 115 million. Their hard cap on that was actually 30 million. They had a soft cap of 15 million, but they had a hard cap of 30 million. They reached that hard cap, but when they got originally listed, they had about a 150 $1 million valuation, and then they had you know, correction, then followed by another pump, followed by a long flag here. Then they kind of came back up here. Basically, to give you the rundown of this, is they've actually maintained their valuation pretty much across the board. So if you look at when, you know, they were originally listing back in February, this is a relatively new project, to now, pretty much the same. This isn't like something that hit the market and just tanked. This is definitely something that, well, it did tank for maybe a week after, but this is definitely something that gained back their traction. The market seems pretty confident in this one, and I'm pretty confident in it too. So I'm going to be looking on Binance. They're listed on, to see if I can actually get in a position for myself. This is definitely something that's on the long term of things, though. If you're looking at this project, I would take a look at that for the long term, because we still have a lot to go on this project at end. The next coin that we're gonna go on is Ethos. Let me just make sure I have my links here. Oh, I only have one link for this. That's not right. It's their Twitter link, but I guess I was assuming I could just find all their other links through that. Specifically, though, I made sure that I saved this one. Oh, I have a few more down here. Never mind. But specifically, though, this is their alpha of their project. They released a photo of it in the beginning of in the beginning of March. This project, there's not too much to go on about this one, but the cool thing about Ethos, you know, just to give you the basic rundown, Ethos is supposed to offer a intuitive self-custodized universal wallet that offers you to safely store, manage, and leverage and further monetize your crypto assets in one place while maintaining control of your private keys. So this is supposed to be a wallet. This is supposed to be a wallet that is supposed to aggregate a lot of different coins. So mainly the bigger ones. And you might be wondering, like, well, what about something like Exodus? I have Exodus on my computer here. Or what about like a lot of the other you know, universal wallets that are out? It's not, they don't have like a lot of extreme differences here, but to just sum up the white paper here as to a lot of the solutions that they're trying to solve, and a lot of what they're trying to do here, we can go over that, but a lot of this is supposed to be going through just making one place that you can buy and sell and just manage crypto. And I think just to go over one of my main points that I want to allude to a little bit here, universal wallets are very important because they offer the end user, especially when they have a clean UI like this one. Let's go back to that photo. So especially when they have like a clean and understandable UI like this one, it attracts more people to being able to actually purchase crypto, and it actually attracts more people to actually utilize it and use it for what it's meant to be. So one of the biggest problems right now is a lot of the, and I talked about this a few times in crypto, one of the biggest problems is the barriers to entry. So there's a lot of issues when it comes to, so if you want to use this token to be able to use this service, like let's say it's like you know, a cloud computing platform or a cloud mining platform or a cloud storage or you know, a marketplace or something like that, instead of like having to buy your Bitcoin on Coinbase or buy it on whatever have you, which can already be hard enough for the, and I'm saying this with air quotes, for the normie. That can already be hard enough for the normie, and then the normie has to figure out how to withdraw or send those funds to another exchange or marketplace that they have to figure out the navigation through, and then they have to, you know, figure out the you know, sending that over, buying, you know, the token, and then sending that token over to the end website. And that's a 3-step, even 4-step might have, you might say, you know, even 4-step process as to just getting the end product. And the thing is, there's already a whole lot of established products that aren't necessarily decentralized, but really easy for people to use because they can just, you know, pull out their wallet, take out their credit card, put in their credit card information, and then bam, they already have it in front of them. So buying like storage, cloud storage through you know, Amazon would be a lot easier, especially if you already have an Amazon account through a lot of other stuff that you have. It would be a lot easier to just do that instead of using decentralized storage, even if it is a little bit cheaper. People, you know, want the fast and easy thing to use. And the thing is, crypto isn't necessarily fast and easy at the moment. But with a universal wallet like this, they offer, you know, a few solutions to that. An intuitive self, you know, I already mentioned this one, a social trust ecosystem for choosing, sharing, and navigating through the ever-growing array of cryptocurrencies that unifies all your financial assets to apply powerful investment models and structures to build your financial knowledge and wealth. This goes over the social aspect a little bit. We're going to get to that a little bit more, but they want to build this wallet to have a kind of like a social network where people can just, you know, review certain coins or services and talk about them, like just how you might watch a movie on Netflix and you can look, or before you want to watch a movie on Netflix, you can look at all the reviews that it has of the service or company behind it. So let's say this person wanted to, let's say this wallet is capable, has capabilities with like IOTA or something like that. For a coin like that, it would specifically say like, hey, this coin is not receiving a lot of good feedback, and that's because a lot of transactions are being lost, or whatever you might like, whatever you might complain about when it comes to IOTA, just to use that for example. So a social gamification that incentivizes cloud wisdom and makes participating in the new economy fun, social, and rewarding. Easy and safe diversification across digital and traditional assets. This is supposed to also work, this wallet, we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but this wallet is supposed to also add the capabilities for buying into traditional markets as well later on. We've seen a couple more projects like this before, like NCASH, for example, but this project is supposed to give you the capability to buy, maybe you would want to buy into like commodities like gold, or maybe you want to buy other things like just other different, you know, alternate fiat currencies. So if you wanted to just buy some yen, you could do that. I don't know why I use yen for example, but but you know, euros or whatever might have you. You know, you can actually buy into those scalable and compliant API services to empower businesses, developers, entrepreneurs to build their own powerful crypto services and product offerings. And this is something that appeals to you if you are someone who wants to develop on this platform. I'm actually considering developing something on this platform, but you know, it has to actually come out first. But this is definitely something that is interesting and appeals to someone like me, but that's not necessarily too important if you're just the end user. Data feeds to syndicate information about cryptocurrencies and markets, and professional services to demystify the industry for businesses and developers while creating a dynamic ecosystem to locate, find, and engage customers in the digital economy, thus reinventing traditional financial distribution models. And yeah, just to not to pull away too much, this is supposed to be a wallet that's supposed to also have a few other functionalities with it, like you know, the social network built into it, you know, being able to speak with other users and see their reviews on certain coins, etc. You know, this project kind of reminds me of just Cryptex in general, because you know, Cryptex, we technically have, you know, a social network where a lot of us go over a lot of different coins that we like and our reviews of specific coins, etc. And you know, we have a wallet built into our Discord server. If anyone actually would like to use that, all you would have to use is !my wallet and commands, and you can give that a go if you like. And you know, you can buy and you can't buy cryptocurrency yet, but you can tip other users for giving you information that you find useful, etc. But this is just a wallet built in with like a whole bunch of other coins. Right now, Cryptex is only compatible with ETH, REC, and Request Network, and I believe, I actually can't remember the third one, but I would only specifically use ETH and Request Network. But we're planning on actually building onto you know, new coins in the future, if that becomes necessary. But yeah, but this one is supposed to be universal wallet with a whole bunch of different coins, if not most of the coins that are on the market that aren't necessarily the scam pump and dumpy type ICOs that are releasing out. They go over fiat and diversification on the white paper a little bit here. You know, we already kind of talked about this. This is supposed to, you know, it's supposed to like appeal to you know, to making more diverse portfolios, which is kind of obvious here. So you can spread funds across dozens of cryptocurrencies or tokens, making it less risky than purchasing an individual currency. Yeah, so anyone with a universal wallet would know this. I mean, that's why you would buy a universal wallet in the first place. But this will definitely add, I think one of the main reasons why a project like this is important is because it reduces a lot of the barriers to entry. So instead of having to, as I said before, going to Coinbase, buying Bitcoin to go to another exchange and go through that whole process, you would literally, in theory, be able to download the Ethos app or get the Ethos program on your computer or on your phone or what have you, and then you can basically run your whole cryptocurrency world through that. So if you would want to buy some capacity to, you know, buy some AR VR models, or if you would want to purchase some RLC to use to utilize some cloud computing off of a different network, or if you would want to buy some SIA to you know, get some cloud storage, you'd be able to do that all in one place, and just it reduces a lot of those barriers that people would need if they can just use a universal wallet like this, which is pretty good. That's pretty much all of the important information there. To be honest with you, a lot of this it goes over a lot of the other capabilities that they plan on it for the future. So like I said, they plan on appealing to a lot of different like developing projects. So if you would want to create like funds, or if you would want to create Other businesses through like API keys that would be able to work with their systems and work on the Ethos platform. You can do so there. When it comes to the token, you might be wondering why they exactly need a cryptocurrency, and there's no real reason why the Ethos cryptocurrency needs to exactly exist. So this could be a wallet that doesn't necessarily have a cryptocurrency behind it, but like this is kind of like you would see like the BNB token or Binance token or I think there's a KuCoin token too. So a lot of these exchanges, they're making their own tokens now to incentivize users using that, and in the end they'll be able to, you know, offer lower exchange fees and they'd be able to use those to actually reduce a lot of the costs that you would be paying on the end of just, you know, utilizing the wallet at hand. So just holding the Ethos token is supposed to offer you like a few different incentives for being on the Ethos platform. That pretty much covers a lot of the important stuff. I think, yeah, the white paper is relatively short. They do plan on being very compliant with when it comes to legal considerations. So just to go over that a little bit, they talk about it here. One moment. Gotta drink my coffee before it goes cold. The introduction of Ethos involves a myriad of legal and regulatory complexities. In fact, those intricacies were determining factors in our decision to restrict access from our token sale from those residents located in both Singapore and the United States, where public policy was extremely fluid. Although an analysis of Ethos token found on our tokens could be of the pure functional token class, bearing no resemblance whether to be more controversial tokenized securities, we felt it more prudent at that time to proceed with these restrictions as a matter of caution. However, these restrictions have subsequently been removed to ensure that we can service both Singapore and the United States residents as we move forward in our development path to the ultimate launch of the Ethos platform. In a nutshell, yeah, we couldn't do the token sale in the United States or Singapore because, hey, those countries don't really like that too much these days. But we do plan on still offering our services there in the end, but just complying with a lot of the laws that are popping up as they come. So launching Ethos services have legal considerations, including compliance, so knowing the KYC regulations, so know your customers and requirements, implementation of the anti-money laundering regulation requirements, applicability of jurisdictional investment company laws, including Investment Company Act of 1940 to Ethos services, applicability of judicial advisor laws, applicability of judicial security laws, applicability of judicial securities laws. These issues can be considered by users considering the purchase of Ethos tokens. The fundamental role of the Ethos token is to act as gas for the Ethos platform, where users or developers with Ethos can across services on the platform, including those enabling wallet creation, portfolio construction, asset allocation, crypto data queries, rebalancing between various cryptocurrencies in the universal wallet, and other features outlined above. However, depending on the above legal analysis, the Ethos service, either whole or in part, may not be available in certain countries and will be made available in others according to a very specific rollout strategy. Protective token holders of the Ethos platform should consider these facts prior to purchasing any Ethos tokens. So they do state it out pretty explicitly here. Hey, you should know what your country's laws are before you actually end up buying this, because we can't necessarily say that, you know, when it comes to tokens, how legal this is going to be in the future. But this is something that you guys should be aware of no matter what. If you're buying Ethos or what other coins you might be buying into. This is something that's really important. So I think it's really important that you guys understand what your country's laws are on tokens at the moment. It's very, very important if you want to actually, you know, maintain your funds. I think that pretty much goes over all the important stuffs about Ethos. So just to recap a little bit, this is a universal wallet. This is supposed to work with, you know, cell phones, tablets, computers, everything. They have a little bit of a graphic here that shows all the capabilities that this has over maybe any other wallets that you might see that has, you know, multiple cryptocurrencies on it. So Case, UberPay, Mist, Exodus, Trezor, Coinbase, Ledger Nano, MySlim. Goes over a lot of these things, and I think that this is definitely a project that is necessary for the reason why I like it. Some other people might like it for a few other things. Some other people might like the social aspect of it. Some people might like the fact that, you know, it just has a easy to learn UI. But I think when it comes to the easy to learn UI, the intuitive UI that's easy to be able to understand, I think that's important, because that's going to attract more people who aren't necessarily finance gurus, and it reduces a lot of the barriers to entry if you can actually purchase cryptocurrency through this and exchange it through this one wallet. That is also, you know, more hardware based than versus, you know, it being online. That's like one of the, I think, most important fundamentals of this project, is because it's removing a lot of those barriers to entry on that part for most users. So for that, when it comes to the project, I think I'm willing to give this a 80%. You know, just being a wallet itself isn't necessarily going to make cryptocurrency all of a sudden, you know, just more usable for everyone in general. And I think a lot of that has to do with the business development that a lot of these coins are actually doing. But I think that this is definitely a step in the right direction when it comes to just making cryptocurrency have a better ease of use. So for that, I'm willing to give this project an 80. If you guys are free to disagree or agree in chat if you like, but I think I'm willing to give this a moderately high grade. It's definitely, it's technically higher than Tron right now. So, but the reason why I give it an 80 versus like something like a 90, or like, I mean, nothing has exactly reached 100, is because the token itself isn't too necessary. So the coin isn't necessarily like something that people need. This is definitely a project that could very much exist without it. So there is a little bit of the whole, you know, doing some raising some money through, I think a lot of it has to do with just like raising some money for the Ethos project, but the project does need to make money somehow. So the thing is, I don't have too much of a problem with them having a token. I'm not exactly sure if I'm actually going to use it myself too much. They might make it whereas only the Ethos token, you can only trade that between, you know, if you want to actually trade different commodities and other markets on that, just like how Quash is doing. And we gave Quash a relatively high grade, but the coin isn't necessarily too important here. It's mainly the project behind it. The team's pretty strong too. I mean, Shingo, you know, he's just, it's one of those situations where he doesn't necessarily have to prove himself too much, because, you know, he is the main developer on this project and he's doing the real work here when it comes to just making this and making this as capable as possible. They're in alpha at the moment, but they do have a lot of guys behind them that are pretty strong choices, mainly this Stephen Corliss guy. Steven oversees the Ethos Global corporate strategy. He's had a long, successful career at Wall Street firms, so BlackRock, UBS, Merrill Lynch, State Street. You know, he's worked with like a few other different mutual and exchange traded funds worldwide. He knows what he's doing on that front. I believe him. I believe in him on that one. Their chief technical officer, you know, this guy he's okay. He's not necessarily someone that is like too memorable, but he's worked with like a lot of companies like Metavera, Enterprise Car Share, which is actually like a huge company here in the States. So Enterprise Rent-A-Car, it's a huge company that he's worked for, but it's not necessarily like a company you think about every day, only when you need it. This other guy, Vishal, he's worked with BlackRock, and he's like close with the Steven guy since they technically work together. Tim Simmons, you know, worked for a few different multi-billion-dollar companies. Their team is just strong. It's strong. It's not necessarily like they're not like all Vitalics or anything like that, but their team definitely knows what they're doing. It's really strong. A lot of these people have real experience, I think, which is really important. A lot of these guys have very practical experience. And I think that's like the most important thing we should be paying attention here is the experience behind a lot of these people. It's like a basketball team of like all B players, which is better than like having one A player and nothing else after that. It's better than like just having one guy on one position just doing one front. So if we look at like something like Tron, whereas we look at Justin Sun is like the main dude who's leading the project, the main dude who's like the project at hand. Instead, they just have like a whole bunch of just really dedicated people, and just they have a great community here in a great ecosystem. So when it comes to the team, I'm willing to give them an 85 on that one too. Now, let's take a look at their audience. Let's go to their Reddit, and then let's check out their Twitter. I don't even bother checking out Facebook anymore. Hashtag delete Facebook. Just kidding. Not really. They don't really have a Discord, so they're not cool. That's definitely going to take off about 50% for me. Just kidding, guys. Twitter's looking pretty healthy. Their community seems active on there. They like to, even though they're still working on this project at hand, so this isn't completely done yet. It's still an alpha. They're still posting out content for people to like soak up and just, you know, get a little bit more acquainted with the team and their vision, and I think that's important. They definitely they pay attention to the people here, because that's one of the most important things that they want to cultivate here. If they want to cultivate that social aspect of the wallet as well. Their Reddit seems pretty active. A lot of people are asking a lot of questions on here. A lot of 19 hours ago, 2 hours ago, 11 hours ago. People are posting on this. People are active here. So, yeah. And then let's check out the price action on CoinMarketCap just a little bit. Just a little bit here. So, yeah. They had a major run up in January. Like, I mean, end of December, early January, there was some major over-indexing when it came to the market, and then there was major corrections after that. Don't let this like 15% fool you here. They still got a long way to go to get back to where they were. They were at $500 million before, and now they're at about 200 mil, a little bit over that when it comes to market cap. But they're definitely making strides as to after the initial ICO. all the way up until now. They're still definitely at a better place than where they were, and this is going to be a wallet, so this isn't necessarily something that plays too, it doesn't play the biggest part as to the project in itself, just like a project like Nexus, which we went over yesterday. So yeah, Ethos, I like it. When it comes to their audience, they're also their exchanges on, so you can get the Ethos token on Binance, Coin Exchange, HitBCC, Livecoin, but I think Binance is probably the only important ones here if we just look at the volume here. And the thing is, this, I wouldn't take coin market cap I wouldn't take this as gospel, because coin market cap, just from talking to a lot of the projects that we have in the past through AMAs and etc., we see that a lot of these projects, they actually, sometimes they're like, oh, coin market cap actually got that wrong. So even though this is like, they're saying this is trading at 8 million, I'm not quite sure if we should take that as gospel. So, but still, it's listed on Binance and a lot of the big ones. So, but they do have a little bit of ways to go when it comes to their audience on hand. So I'm going to give this project on the audience scale a 75%, because they really want to, they're going to want more people. If they want more people to participate in this, in the wallet, and participate in the social aspect of it, they want to cultivate their community a little bit more. Their community is going to be important on this. So I want to see more on that front, but we should be looking towards that at launch. So that this grade is subject to change whenever we get to it. But that pretty much wraps up Ethos. Then we're going to get to our last one here, which is Voice. Now, Voice is in the music sector, so I'm actually going to link a few important links here. So these just go over a lot of what's going on in the music industry right now. Let me pull this up. Here we are. So, Voice is supposed to be the iTunes of cryptocurrency. It's a marketplace for music that you can buy and sell music. It's pretty simple. We don't really have to go too much through the white paper here and all its ongoings, because this is actually, even though it's an alpha right now at the moment, it's pretty much finished. They pretty much got it going here. The important parts of the white paper would be, I would suppose, what they've done so far. So the Voice ecosystem, built using the Ethereum protocol, this is an ERC20 token, is a highly secure and transparent music and digital content distribution and streaming platform with a one-of-a-kind model that shares 100% of the proceeds with the artists, charging zero commission or processing fees. At the same time, the platform can also ensure the benefits are passed on from users in the form of reduced pricing. So basically, to give you the rundown, they're going to be able to offer, and I'm actually going to log in here so you guys can take a look. I actually am in the program, technically. One of the big problems with the music industry right now is that artists, they have to charge a little bit more for their music when it comes to albums, because it's really hard to make money through music these days, and I'm sure you guys know this. We have so many different streaming services these days, so many different like places that we could just listen to music, and not only just like listen to music, but listen to music for free. So it's hard. It's really tough for artists to make money, and what they're trying to do is offer a place where, and not only that. I mean, when it comes to, you know, selling music on iTunes or on Google Play or on a lot of these other mediums, for all these projects, not only do they have to charge a little bit more because they're making less money, but they also have to charge a little bit more because Apple, Google, these companies that they're selling their music through, they take a cut as well. And they're taking upwards from 40% to around 60%, I think, that they reported. They reported it somewhere here. It's in my notes, but and you guys can check out the references too about how the music industry is looking here. I'm gonna pull up here in the, yeah, I mean, some of these links are actually old, but the music industry is just, it's pretty tough right now, because when it comes to Apple, Google, and a lot of these other companies, they're taking a lot of their money as well. So this isn't necessarily something that's you know, good for them, so they have to be able to charge more. But Voice, what they plan on making a decentralized marketplace for music to be able to be listed and just exchanged. So they're gonna be able to, artists would in theory be able to, and I say that with air quotes because as you can see, there's not really a lot of artists on here, and I'm gonna tell you why. Artists will be able to charge significantly less because there's like a lot less fees on this platform, and there's supposed to be more capabilities that the artist would be able to have, so you wouldn't have too many influences from the government or any other entities like suing you or doing anything to prevent you from making money on the Voice platform. If it sells, it sells. If people actually end up buying it, no matter what, even if it does use maybe intellectual property from some other artist or something like that, or just something that the government doesn't want on there. I can't really think of too many governments that would want to take down much music, but entities can't take it down. Only if you upload it, it's there, which can play a big part into things. But I think that's pretty much it. You can buy and sell with the Voice token, so you can add. I don't really have a balance right now. I just signed up for the service just to try it out and see what was on here. But as you can see, there's not a lot of people on here, and the reason for that is that artists need to want to be on the Voice platform. So yeah, they can put their albums on here, but why would they do that? That's the problem right now, is because this is a decentralized platform, Voice can't necessarily offer too much when it comes to financial incentives for the artists to be on there. And that's one of the most important parts of this, is that if you can get someone like, let's talk about like Jay-Z, or if you can get Adele, or if you can get, like, let's say Ed Sheeran. So Ed Sheeran, if you could get Ed Sheeran to say like, hey, take off all your music on the Apple platform, take off all your music on all the platforms, Spotify, Pandora, all of that, and put it on the Voice platform, you would have to, that would be one of the best ways for Voice to actually market and actually get more users onto their platform, by offering like deals that could offer major incentive for the artist at hand. And artists, they could profit a lot from doing that. But you see, the Voice product doesn't really have too much funds to work with, because they're not really accepting any fees, as we said before, which is supposed to be, it's kind of like one of those things that, even though it's like supposed to be good, it kind of bites them in the back later, because they can't really do too much development when it comes to marketing and getting more people on this platform. So it's going to be like, this is going to be a really slow build up, and breaking into the music industry as like a new person on the block right now, especially when it comes to charging people for music, this is going to be tough. So I can't necessarily give this, even though they have a working product, it looks great. It looks polished so far. You know, you can upload, you can make playlists, they've made recommended, and they've made like a few other places, so you can look up genres, and you can discover new artists, and you can like look at podcasts, and they're working on a radio system that's barely working right now. Getting people to pay for music is really tough these days, and I think even though they did work really hard on making this product at hand, so like getting this going, it's still the fundamental issue of how do you get people to pay for music when they can get it for free, and that's the unfortunate part about it. So if you're into mining, Voice, they offer a masternode system. So just to talk about it a little bit, in order to incentivize the community members for their role in the platform's growth, Voice will be distributing 80% of the total revenues among token holders. The percentage of revenue distribution received by users will be proportional to the number of tokens committed by them to the Voice masternode. So you have to have a minimum of 600,000 voice to get on this platform. I'm not exactly sure how much that is, though. 1 second. 600,000 voice. So that's about 1 cent. 1 cent times 600,000. Okay, Google. I'm asking Google. 1 times 600. So it would be just about, I guess that would be 60,000. 60. That would just be moving 1 times 600,000. That would be 600,000, of course, duh. But it would be 600,000 divided by 100. 600,000 divided by 100. So it's about $6,000. So you can have a masternode for $6,000. Obviously, I'm terrible at division here, but yeah. So one masternode for about $6,000, and then you can start earning voice for being on the platform. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The roadmap here for the future: forging new partnerships with the music and cryptocurrency industries, adding more collaborators on the platform. They want to get on this Coinomi multi-cryptocurrency wallet, and then they want to also get on the mobile client, which is going to be really important for if they want to see this actually succeed a little bit more, and then advertising, and then doing more on that front. So a lot of your typical things that you would have to do for a business like this. It's really tough to break into this business here, and I'm not quite sure if the thing is they can offer 100% to the artists at hand, but they're gonna need more money to get more artists on this platform. Yeah. For the project, I can't necessarily give this too much of a high grade because there's a couple fundamental issues with this, like getting people to actually pay for music is really tough. So I'm gonna have to give this on the project. It's in the right place though. It's in the right place. So I'm gonna have to give this a 70, only because the thing is the project's complete. That's what I'd love. Well, it's not exactly complete. It's still in the alpha phase, but they've pretty much got it down. Like, the music's working, the platform's working. They pretty much got it. Everything that they could add to it. They pretty much, they have a working product, not a promise. So for that, I'm willing to give it at least a 70, but they don't really answer the call of getting people to pay for music in the first place. So if they did more of that, then maybe they can appeal to the person's heart, like, hey, support your local artist 100%. Maybe they can do that somehow, but they've got a long way to go. They've certainly got a long way to go, like a lot of these cryptocurrencies, by the way, but they're just breaking into a market that's they've got some real ambition here, and I'm not sure if they've got the real throughput to actually make something like this profitable for the short term, the midterm, and I'm actually not sure if this is going to last the long term. But not A for effort. I would give them, they did put a lot of effort into this, and you can see through their product that it's working to some degree, so that's why it deserves a 70. The team and advisors, they don't necessarily have anyone that's too credible behind them, but for something like this, they already have a working product, so it's not exceptionally important. Yeah, it's not necessarily something that's too important here, but I'm willing to put a 70% here too for the team and hard work that they've done on this end. Let's also take a look at exchanges and how easy it is to get this voice token. So this is actually listed on Top BTC, Cryptopia, Coin Exchange, and Coin Robinhood. This is not really enough. They gotta get on some other markets, especially some markets that are a little bit more. I would love to see them get on a Bitrex. I would love to see them get on a Binance, but they've got a long way to go financially for something like that to happen. So can't necessarily give them too much of a high grade here either, but I'm willing to give them. And the thing is, they have a long way to go when it comes to marketing and getting on a whole bunch of other reaching out to a lot of different labels and companies and getting people to actually use this on the artist scale, because if you can get the artists here, the people will follow. That's what they need to start working on doing. I've been checking out their blog to see, what's the ideas, what's the plans here, what are they doing, what are they up to, and they've gotten a couple of people on here, but they haven't quite done too much yet. Looks like they tried to get on Binance before in the past. Looks like they're trying to do some things with getting listed on other places. We haven't seen a blog post since late February. Yeah, maybe a little bit more activity here could play a big part on this, but hopefully we see some more in the future. It seems like a lot of people are following the project, though a lot of people know about it. A lot of crypto people know about it, but it's going to take more than crypto people to actually get people to start using this platform. So they got a long way to go. So I'm going to have them give them a 65% on the audience here. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up the grade on Voice, and that pretty much wraps up everything that we wanted to talk about today. So thanks for everybody for coming in and listening in on the projects that we talked about. If you guys ever have any questions or comments on them, let me know. I'm always here. But as always, have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon.